One of the things she talked about was this idea that, this is more,
Tag team.
all right,
Yeah, you can jam.
there we go. One of the ideas is that, when you get put into this system, especially if you've never been in it, there is a psychological aspect of it that you have to get to. As she spoke about the strip searches, right? If you've never gone through that, or you go through that once, but when you go through that constantly, right, there's a numbing of your soul that you have to get to. And this is why this is important about family, is because that brings back that feeling of your humanity. Because in that environment, you begin to get used to being called a number. You begin to understand that both sides have a game for you, whether it's the officers have you pegged to be some way, or those who are incarcerated with you want you to be part of their chaos and deception. So the reality is that over that time, the family connections are important. The phone calls are important. I mean, I ran up her bill. I can't even imagine what her expenses were, where I called literally on an every other day basis, right? I mean, her phone bills were $300, $400, $500 a month. So going back to expenses, right? We begin to add that up. And so, just to give you an idea of the day, is like you wake up, depending on what you do. I try to break from the system, but I'll explain that another time. But, they tell you when to get up. You got to hurry up and get up. If you're late, you don't get to eat. Then they tell you to go to work or go to class or whatever you're doing. And then you have to get there. And then there's constantly you're dealing, I call them the crash test dummies, which are the people who may not have family support. They may have no other purpose than to try to get you in trouble, to try to target you, to try to, especially when you get closer to the house. There's a thing of once people know you're getting closer to home, they think that they're going to make you more of a target. So because they think you're not going to push back, because who wants to stay, right? And so there's all this navigation you constantly have to do. And in the film, that part of where we talked about the visit, right? There was parts of where it's like you're stressed out because you don't know what's going to happen. You're looking out the window. You're trying to look down the hallway. You're trying to pretend everything is cool. And then finally, when you get to the visiting room, then it's like you got to shake all of that off. And then you have to kind of like, as my mom said, put on a face. And she's putting on a face. We both know we're putting on faces. And you go out there for a minute, and Hope, as Tracy spoke about, you can't hug too long. You can't, in California, they took the tables and they reduced them down all the way to the ground because they said that there was issue. And it was like, they want to watch every move and everything you're doing constantly. You're an incredible level of surveillance. And then as it was said, you put on that face and then you go right back in, right? And then you have to numb yourself again to go back in. So it's a really intentional psychological twist for people. And the longer you're in that environment, the harder that it is to break out if you don't have that tether of family to keep you connected out there. Because once you step out, there's you're in an environment where you don't even get to touch people, right? And then all of a sudden you come out. Even to this day, sometimes I suffer from that feeling of just being, you can't even touch people, or you don't even want to be touched.
Tracy.
Right?